Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadankitam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavascha Shri Rupam Sagara Jatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Shri Lalita Vishakhanvitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vindeshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्ति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणि निर्विशेषाय शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणि जयो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा Hare Krishna and welcome once again to the online Bhagavad Gita classes from ISKCON Mangalore. So today we'll be touching on the 15th chapter. Yeah. So last chapter we covered chapter 14. Yeah. So which was the three modes, right? So in those chapter, right? So we did see how the three modes are bound, right? So there are Rajagun, there is Sattva, Raja, and Tamas, right? So how say each mode um, we are bound to each mode, and then say, at times one tries to overtake the other, and then we did see what happens at the time of death, and then so how do we transcend? Yeah. So there are these were the high level things which we covered in. So today we'll be covering the 15th chapter. Okay. So 15th chapter, which is known as the Purushottama Yoga. Yeah. So this chapter, right, is very important. So it comes in the mid of this section, right? So in the section 3, right? So chapter 15 is one of the important chapters. Yeah. So in the chapter 14, right, at the end, so Krishna says that so we should actually transcend all the three modes. Yeah. So Tama is the lowest and Raja is mixed, right? And Sattva is goodness. But even we'll have to transcend all these three, and then we should rise above these three modes. Yeah. We should go to Vasudeva state or Shuddha Sattva, right? So that's the ultimatum. But for us, right, for us, we should actually try to elevate ourselves from Raja to Sattva Guna. Yeah. So even so we did take the examples of our chanting, all those things, right? So we should purify our heart to become Sattva, and then slowly we can go into the Suddha Sattva. Yeah. So and in the end, right? So Krishna says that we can transit through devotional service. Yeah. So and then now in the chapter 15, right? So he'll actually start. So to do devotion, right, we should have detachment from the material world, right? So he actually in this chapter, right, he'll be dealing with the detachment. Okay, so detachment of this material world. So he'll be explaining all these things, right? So how we can get detached from the material world, how transmigration happens, yeah, and then the Krishna's positions as our maintainer, yeah, and then the summary of Vedas, and then knowing Krishna right? No means knowing everything. So all these things, right? So will be covered in this chapter. Yeah. And so we'll go through this chapter. Yeah. So I'll just share the deck. Yeah. So this is the yoga of Supreme Person. Yeah. So these are all Purushottama Yoga. Yeah. So we are going to touch base all these things in the sections. Yeah. So this is what we covered last time. Yeah. So the first section, right? So becoming detached from the material world, which is nothing but the reflection of the spiritual world. Okay. So this material world is a reflection. So the reflection is, say, is compared to a tree. Okay. So here the tree is a banyan tree. Okay. So the tree which is being spoken in this verse, right? So it is a banyan tree, and the reflection, right? So the original banyan tree is in the spiritual world. Okay. And then so the reflection, the perverted reflection, right? So that is nothing but our material world. Okay. So we'll read through the first slokas wherein so these details are given in. Yeah. This is 15.1. Okay. Sri Bhagavanu Vacham Urdhava Adha Shakam Ashwatham Prahuravyayam Chandam Si Yasya Parnani Yastvam Vedasa Vedavit. So this particular tree, right? This Ashwatham, is nothing but a banyan tree. Okay. So here, so this banyan tree is the perverted reflection. Okay. So of the original spiritual world. Okay. So where can we find this reflection is basically in the river, right? Say if there is a tree, right, near to a river, so then you can see its reflection, okay, in the water, but it will be upside down, right? So wherein, so it's not realist, right? So it's all temporary, and then so, so it's not the real tree which we are seeing, right? So the spiritual tree is the real one, and the material world which we are in, right? So that is a reflection of the spiritual world, okay, wherein the roots are pointing above, right? And then the leaves, branches are downwards, okay. So that is the banyan tree, okay. So wherein the roots are upwards and its branches are downwards, okay. And then say in this, right, say there's leaves, right? So this parnani are nothing but the leaves, okay. So the leaves are the Vedic hinds, okay. So and then here the Lord says that one who knows, right? Say Veda with knower of the Vedas. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. Okay. So in here, right? So this is about Vedas, right? So this particular chapter is about the Vedic study. Okay. So this banyan tree, right? The branches, right? So the root, right? So the root starts from Lord Brahma. Okay. So we'll just see that picture. Yeah, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upwards and its branches downwards, whose leaves are Vedic kinds. Okay. And we'll go through this tree also. Yeah, this is a complicated tree, so which we are living in. Yeah. And then if you see, right, so Lord Brahma is at the root. Okay. And then one who knows this tree is the knower of the Veda. So one who knows all these things, right? And then these leaves are, which are looking green, right? These are Vedas. Okay. So this is what, yeah. So this is the spiritual world, and then this is our material world, which is nothing but a reflection, wherein the roots are above and the branches are down. Yeah. So this material world is an upside down banyan tree. Yeah. So in this, right, so what happens is, so usually, right, so we'll be actually moving from one branch to the other here. Okay. So because these are so green, right, to see, so we'll be one wandering here only. Okay. And then there is no end, because there are so many branches. So you'll be moving from one to the other. Okay. But these are nothing but the different types of Vedas and all, right? So what is the actual purpose is, we'll have to actually move here like this and then move to this tree, say where everything is real, and then there is no birth, death problem, yeah, disease problem. Okay. So one who understands this, right? So will cut. Okay. So, and this particular illusion, right? So this is an illusory tree. Okay. And then, so, and then this is nothing but desires, right? So desires is what makes us to be entangled in this branches. Okay. And then we can only cut that with the acts of devotional service. Then only, so we'll have to detach those things and then move ahead upwards. Yeah. Okay. So without that we can't do anything. Yeah. So if you look in, right, at the top we saw Brahma, and then this tree also, right, is basically divided into three different parts. Yeah. The upper part is wherein we have the Vaikunthas, the Gandharvas all living in, and then middle section is the earthly planet, and the bottom is like the hellish planets, yeah, and the lower planetary systems, right? So, and this material world, right? So this tree is basically nourished by the three modes. Okay. So different species manifest depending upon their modes. Yeah. Okay. So, and then say in here, right? Say we'll be seeing, say what the branch is. Okay. So, and then what are the leaves we touch base, right? And this is the fruits, right? The leaves are nothing but the Vedic hymns, right? And then say the branches upper and are the different planets, yeah. And so the fruits are nothing but, so the figurative acts, right? So like dharma, artha, yeah, and so enjoying mentality fruits, yeah. So of the tree, okay, and then twigs would be the senses of objects, yeah, and then see those details. They are coming in. So the next verses we'll be seeing those details here. Yeah. Yeah, if you see, right, so this is the tree. Yeah. So what does it mean to know the Vedas? Yeah. It's an upside down banyan tree. It means that one who knows how to cut the attachment to this material world. One who is attracted by ritualistic Vedic formulas is just attracted by beautiful green leaves of the banyan trees and does not know the purpose of Vedas. So if we are actually attracted with this green leaves, right, so we'll be actually stuck in the perverted tree, right? So we should know the essence of Vedas is to go back to Godhead and then slowly come up, elevate ourselves. Yeah. So this material world is a tree which is nourished by the three modes, okay, and figurative acts. So different species manifest according to the proportions of modes. Yeah. Sometimes we find that the tract of land is barren for want of sufficient water, and sometimes tract is very green. Yeah. Similarly, where particular modes of material nature are proportionately greater in quantity, the different species of life are manifested accordingly. So it is nothing but depending upon the nature, right? So the mode. So if the mode of goodness, you'll be somewhere here. Yeah. So if you are in the mode of passion, you'll be somewhere here. Yeah. Say economic development, religiosity, you'll be lingering here. And if so, down the line, right? See, with the tamoguna, you'll be downwards. Yeah. So that's what is being told. Yeah. So this tree has also root going towards, and this is 5.2. The branches of the tree extend downward and upward, nourished by the three modes of material nature. The twigs are the objects of senses. Okay, the twigs are the objects of senses. This tree also has roots going down, and they are bound to the putative actions of human society. So we should actually get detached from this tree. Yeah. So this gives more examples. Yeah. So what is the tip of the senses? We have a tabular format also, so nothing to worry. In the next deck, we have these things. Yeah, the leaves are nothing but the Vedic hymns. Twigs are sense objects. Yeah, all these things are from the purport only. Okay, and roots. A real root grows upwards towards the Brahmaloka. Yeah, so this is the desire. So due to this desires only, we have all these things. Yeah, this tree is populated due to our desire. Yeah, and then so we'll have to go to Golok, right? So and so living entities hops from one branch to the other. This we actually saw through, yeah. So this which we discussed. So this is what the whole thing is, right? So nourishment is three modes of material nature. Yeah. So this tree get nourishes by the three modes of material nature. So where we are in, yeah. And roots. The real root of material existence grows upwards, topmost of the universe, Brahmaloka. Yeah. Secondary root are the human planetary systems, and subsidiary are aversions. So these are nothing but which we touch based everything. Yeah. Tips of branches are senses, eyes, ears, nose. Yeah. Living entity involvement hops from one branch to another, trying to taste the fruit. Can't see how far the tree extends or what it ends, although living entities are eternal fragments. So he from here, right? So the living entity doesn't know. So what is the end of the tree? Yeah, and then so where does it come? So until we have some knowledge, the devotional knowledge, and we hear from the shastras, right? We don't know. So we might be thinking that the tree where we are in, right? So we should hop from one branch or one leaf to the other, and then change. Yeah. So the real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, or where its foundation is. But with determination, one must cut down this tree with a weapon of detachment. So, the only way to cut this particular tree is through detachment. Okay. So, doing one must seek the place from which one has so doing, one must seek the place from which, having once gone, no one returns. So this is what I was telling, right? So once you go to the spiritual world, right, there is no coming back. Yeah. And there surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom everything has begun and in whom everything is abiding since time immemorial. So in this, right, the other thing is, right, say if we want to search, right, so where did all these things come from, right? Say like the only way is, as I said, right? So you'll have to hear properly, yeah? And then so from the authority, yeah. So then only we'll get to know, okay? So where is this, okay? And if you want to find out the cause, right? So where did it come, right? So herein, right? Prabhupada writes in, right? So this particular finding out the cause, right? Say the root is up and extends at the other end, right? So we are entangled, and we don't know where the beginning is. So to do that beginning, so if you want to understand that beginning thing, right? So we'll actually go into the hierarchy, right? So of our ancestors, saying that who is father's father and ancestors. If we go right at the end, it will come somewhere to Brahma, right? And then so Brahma to Garbhodaksha Vishnu. So who is nothing but Krishna, right? From there, so the in the purport, Prabhupada says that our research should actually finish there. Yeah. And then how to search at the, and then we should actually think of, so as we know the root is the original person, or so the ultimate goal is Lord Krishna, right? So knowing that, right, so we shouldn't do any more research there, yeah. So rather we should actually take up devotional service, yeah, and then seek, cut and get detached. Okay. So here even a word asanga is being used, right? So this is nothing but getting detached from the sense enjoyment. Yeah? So because with sense enjoyment, we tend to lot, or say we tend to enjoy the material nature, right? So which is very strong. Yeah. So therefore, we can cut this tree by detachment, and then this detachment only comes from sadhu and sangha, right? So from and shastra. So from hearing, right, this knowledge from the bona fide teachers, yeah, and then by reading the shastras, then only we can know, and then we can take up the devotional service, and then we get automatically detached, yeah. Else we will be moving into this entanglement. Okay. So and then further, right, so now Lord explains who can surrender to the, say, supreme person. Yeah. So now he'll actually explain those details. Yeah. So this is what we discussed in, right? So this is not real, yeah, impossible to fully understand, yeah. So cut down through the acts of detachment, yeah. So this is, yeah, supreme. Then one will go to the supreme personality of Godhead, yeah. So why real form of tree cannot be understood? Because root is upward and extension is at the other end. So that's the reason we'll not be able to understand, yeah. How to find out the cause? Yeah. So it is, we said, right? So until we go to the Brahma and Garbhodaksha Vishnu, and then so we know that from association of person in knowledge. So Krishna is the end of research work. So we know this. And how to search out that origin is nothing but from association. Yeah. What are the benefits of this knowledge? Gradually becomes detached from the false reflection. Yeah. So importance of the word asanga. So I just discussed in, right? So we should actually detach ourselves from the material senses, yeah, by learning from guru and shastras, yeah. So but with determination, one must cut the strongly rooted tree with the weapon of detachment, yeah. This is the only way to we can cut this shackle, yeah. Else say we'll be wandering there only. So find one in knowledge, surrender to the Lord, and attain the abode. So this is what we can do. Okay. So the next verses are nothing but the surrendering of the Lord, yeah, and the eternal abode, yeah. So this is 15.5, yeah. So here, right, the Lord says that Nirmana mohajita sanga dosha adhyatma nitya vinivarta kama dvandir vimukta sukha dukkha samagner gachanti amuda padam avyayam tat. So here, right, the Lord says that those who are free from false ego, yeah, prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are freed from dualities of happiness and distress, and who unbewildered know how to surrender onto the supreme person, attend to this eternal kingdom. So we should have these characteristics. Yeah. So this is what the Lord says, right? So who can actually surrender? Yeah. So one should be free from false prestige and pride. Yeah. So that is the first qualification. So wherein we should not think that say we are the owners of this material world, and so we should not get puffed up. Yeah, because the problem is the conditioned soul actually gets puffed up. Yeah, and then he thinks that he is the doer, and then he wants to actually control everything. Yeah, and then he wants to control and enjoy, right? So that just doesn't help. So how do we do that? Cultivate. So what is the solution for this? Is cultivate the knowledge. And one should know that, say, we are not the supreme enjoyer, but the Lord, right? So in that way only we can give our say, this false prestige or pride, yeah. And then freedom from illusion, right? So the same thing, right? So we should not think ourselves as the proprietor, right? So in this world, right, so we have come temporarily, and then so our job is to do devotional service, and then so we'll have to go back from where we have come in, right? So because whatever we are seeing, right, so that's an perfected reflection. Yeah. So we are living everything in a temporary world. Yeah. And then freedom. So we should be free from false association. Yeah. So the false association is basically with the society and the nation, all those things, right? The boundaries getting attached to the material world, right? So we should be free from those bodily attachments. Yeah. And then we should understand the actual eternal thing, that we should develop the spiritual knowledge and then go back to Godhead, right? So again, here also in the previous chapter also it is being told, right? So one should be freed from the dualities of happiness and distress. Yeah. So this is again stressed out. Yeah. So he should be in equilibrium. Yeah. To both sukha and dukkha. Yeah. So one who is free from false prestige is, yeah, freedom from illusion, freedom from false association, understand the eternal, freedom from dualities, done with material lust and bewilderment. Who will be able to surrender? So this a person having these qualities can surrender to the Supreme Lord. Yeah. So yeah, so this is what we discussed. Yeah. Illusion means one, freedom from illusion. Yeah. We should not have this false proprietorship, right? So I, me, mine. Yeah. And then lauding, right? And when one becomes full in knowledge, it is possible to surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So then only we can, if we'll have to go through these phases, then we can come to this stage. Yeah. Else we'll be stuck. Yeah. So now the Lord will actually touch base. Yeah. So on the transmigration. Okay. So now he'll actually tell us what are the characteristics of the spiritual world. Yeah. And then he'll actually tell how the abode is illuminated. Yeah. So the abode doesn't need any electricity. Yeah. So, or fire. Yeah. So it is self effulgent. Yeah. So, and one who attains this world, right? So the spiritual world will never come back. So there, all the planets are self-illuminous. So we'll see through this. So this is also an important shloka. So na tad bhashyate suryo na shashanko na pavakah yad gatva na nivartante tadham param mama. So he says herein, right? So that abode of mine is not illuminated by the sun or moon nor by electricity. One who reaches it never returns to this material world. Yeah. So, so the Lord actually says that. So the mm, spiritual world, right? So is actually self-illuminates by the Brahma Jyoti. Okay, and say all the effulgence is coming from the Golok Vrindavan planet. Okay, so in here, right? Actually, the living entities, right? So they have got the minute independence, right? So wherein they can actually choose either of the things, right? So they actually want to enjoy the material world, then they'll be in the conditional stage. Okay, and then if they want to advance, right? If they take up devotional service, they'll go to the liberated stage. Yeah. So the conditioned stage, right? So the one which the or the, yeah, wherein if the soul has chosen the material world, right? So then it is called as the darkness, right? So living entity is in the dark material world. Okay, but in the elevated stage, right? So when one chooses the devotional service, right? So which is full of bliss, right? So he is into full of knowledge, right? So which is full of lighting. Okay, and so in this, right? So we should know one thing. Okay, saying that say by taking up the devotional service, right? We should be serious. Okay, so and it's not that say outwardly we perform all the activities and think that okay, so we can actually um, go into the devotional service or by the outward gestures we should not think that so if I'm dressing up outwardly and I believe that I'm in devotional service, that doesn't help. Yeah, so we should have in both the ways internally. So internally also we should have the realizations, then only things will fall in track. Yeah, yeah, and then we know, right? So the whole spiritual world is full of bliss. Yeah, so once we are there, so yeah, so this is one of the important shlokas. Yeah, so this everyone should remember. ममैवंश जीवलोके जीवभूत सनातनः मनसष्ठानि इन्द्रियाणि प्रकृतिस्थानि कर्षति. So this is in here, right? So the Lord says that Mamevamshu Jivaloka, right? So here the Lord says that all the living entities, right, say they are part and parcel. So in here, so until now, right, we were hearing that so we are part and parcel of the Lord, right? So here the Lord Himself says that Mamevamsha, right? So we are the fragmental part, right, of the Lord, yeah, and we are the eternal fragmental part of the world, yeah, and then we are actually struggling, right? So Jiva Bhuta Sanatana Manasasthani Indriyani. So the conditioned life, right? So the Jiva is actually struggling with the six senses, yeah, So six senses and the mind, and so he's struggling hard with these things. Yeah. So here the identity of the soul is clearly being mentioned. Yeah, saying that we are eternally a part and parcel of the a fragmental part rather, yeah, of the Lord. Yeah. And so the in the purport, right? So Prabhupada writes that say there are say the Lord actually expands, right? So there are a lot of expansions, yeah. So the primary expansions are the Vishnu tattvas, right? So, and the other, the secondary expansions are the living entities. Okay, the Vishnu tattvas are nothing but the personal expansions like Rama, yeah, Narsimadev, all those, right? So all those are his personal. Okay, so his personal expansions, and then the separated living entities, right? So the living entities are also the fragmental part. Okay, so all these, right, starting from Brahma to the ant, right? So all those come into those category. Okay, so in here, right, the Lord says that we are struggling. Karshati is nothing but we are struggling. The conditioned soul is bound up, right? We are actually bound up with the shackles of by chains, right? So which is nothing but the false ego, right? And of them, right? Here, mana. So he has given mind is the chief. So which is actually pulling us into this material existence. Yeah. So unless we purify our heart, right? We cleanse everything, right? So we'll be actually moving in this. Yeah. So that's the thing. Original position of living entities are eternal part and parcel of Lord Krishna, yeah. And living entities belong to the supreme world. So our origin is we belong to the supreme world, spiritual world, but we have fallen due to our rebellious nature, yeah? And then we are getting a chance to correct ourselves, right? But yeah, so we are actually getting bogged up with the modes of material nature and then senses. So it is very peculiar situation, yeah? So where we are in. But yes, the solution is there. So wherein so we'll have to take up devotional service and go back, yeah. And the other, so now he gives the transmigration details only, right? So he says that the living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another as the air carries aromas, yeah. So this is also very important thing, right? So we actually think how the body actually transmigrates, right? So this is the answer for it. So herein, right, the concept of life, one body to another as the air. So the air is nothing but the soul, okay? And then these aromas are nothing but the vasanas, okay? So whatever the subtle body has, right, man, buddhi, ahankar. So those are the aromas which the soul carries from one um, life to the other. Yeah. So even the Lord clarifies that. Yeah. So how does this moves on? Yeah. So the process of transmigration is explained here. The living entity acquires a material mind and carries different conceptions of life from one body to the next, as the air carries the aroma. Okay. So this is how. So even we read, right, so at the time of death. So if we practice devotional service, it should be natural that at the time of death we think of the Lord, and then say we actually get into that mood so that the next life will get such body. Yeah. So if you are lucky enough, you'll get all the transcendental senses, transcendental manbuddhi, ahankar, so which wherein you'll go to the Golok Vrindavan. The living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, tongue, and nose and senses of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys particular set of sense enjoyment. So depending upon that aroma, right? So the gross body is been given, right? So depending upon what do we need, yeah. Say so whatever we have, right? So depending upon say for few things, right? So you need one census more, right? So depending upon whatever uh, things we are interested in, right? So we'll get that body. Okay. So yeah. So someone wants to do sense enjoyment. So depending upon the senses, right? So we get the different colors. Yeah. So in the 8.4 million species, right? So one has strong senses for something, right? So one would like to sleep, right? So he'll become a polar bear who's lazy enough, right? So in that way. So now the foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of modes of material nature. If we have not read Shastras or if we have not got this devotional thing, right? And then if we don't have this connection with the spiritual master and all, right? So we'll not be able to understand, right? The real identity. Yeah. So what we'll think is, okay, this material modes of nature, right? Enjoying this material mode itself is the ultimate. Yeah. But one who has eyes, are trained in knowledge, can see all this. So if an car, say the example of car has been given here, right? So if we are driving and then if the car is stuck or the car got broke, right? So we can't go and repair, right? So the car, so we don't know so which part and all, right? So, but if a trained mechanic is there, right? So he knows. So looking at the situation, right? So how the car broke, so he can go and then diagnose and fix it, right? So that is the example which is actually given. So he has the vision, he knows it. So basically, so we'll call it as Jnana Chakshu, right? So without that knowledge, right, the spiritual Gyan, so we can't see. And then we, all these things we can get from the Shastras and the liberated soul only, yeah. So only Prabhupada, people like Prabhupada can enlighten us, yeah. So that is how we are getting this knowledge. So the endeavoring transcendentalist who is situated in self-realization can see all this clearly, but those who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try to do so. So just example, right? So we can take the examples of the yoga systems which we have in, right? So which wherein neither the guru, so now in the yoga centers which are there, right? So the teacher is not a self-realized soul himself, right? So because he only knows how to do some breathing exercise, but he doesn't know the ultimate end of yoga system, right? So when he himself is not realized, right? So live about the people who are going for say, physical fitness, right? So they can never see the actual realization, yeah, because they are not self-realized, yeah. And then most of them are blind, right? So it's basically the yoga system in the modern age is only for physical fitness, yeah. Yeah, bhakti yogas are the actual yogis, yeah. So this is what the lords the purport it has been said, yeah. Those who are trained can see all this clearly because their minds are clarified by yoga practice and then situated in self-realization. But those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place through. Okay. Though they might try to do so, yeah. So though they try, but they can't see. Okay. So this is Purushottama Yoga, yeah. So now, in 15.12 onwards, right? Say the Lord actually says, yeah, say He is the splendor of the sun, right? So which actually dissipates of this whole world, yeah, which dissipates the darkness of this whole world comes from me, and the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire are also me. So here the Lord says, right, He is the sun and the moon. Yeah. So in the next two verses, the Lord actually says that He is the sun and the moon. Yeah. So with the sun rising in, right? So we know that the day has begun, right? And then say if it's a no moon day, right? Or it's so we generally call an Amavasya, right? So in that, so if there are no street light, if there is no electricity, so can we see anyone? We can't, right? So similarly, so without sun, right? So we can't do, say, the life is miserable, right? So if you think that if it's only dark all the time, 24 hours, right? So it's not possible, right? So we need sun, right? And then he is the one who actually, so wherever there is spiritual knowledge, right, there is brightness. Wherever there is ignorance, right, so there is darkness, yeah. And then the unintelligent cannot see these things, yeah. And then with the sunrise, right, so all the activities begin, right? So like with the sunrise, only everything gets kicked off, right? So in our day-to-day life, right? So in the night time, we just sleep in, right? So all the active things are done when there is sun, yeah. And even in the moon, when we do need moon also, right? So due to sunlight, right? So even our crops, right? So which are like the food which we get in, right? The cereals and all those things, right? So they grow with the sunlight, right? And in the night, right? The vegetables actually get the juices from the moon, yeah. So with the moonlight only, the tastes of the vegetable nourishes, right? So all these things, right? Even in the daytime, right? If you work hard, right? The night, the Lord has made the moonlight so soothing that it's very pleasing, right? So all these things, the Lord says that He is the one, yeah. And then the others cannot understand this, yeah. And in the coming verses, He'll say that He is the fire, okay. So one thing is He's actually giving us the food, right? So He's giving us the cereals, He's giving us the vegetables, right? With the help of sun and moon, right? And then He'll give the fire also, the fire which is used for digestion, right? In Ayurveda, the digestion is actually happens through the fire, which or the acidic thing, right? So that is nothing but the Lord Himself. So He's actually helping us to digest the food also, right? And yeah, we'll go through those details wherein so if the fire in the belly, right? So if it is not ignited, right, then you'll not have, so you'll not be hungry, yeah. So this is the yoga of Supreme, yeah. Krishna is the maintainer of the material world, yeah. And then he is the one who is actually maintaining the whole universe also, right? So he is holding, right, the whole universe, yeah. So it is something similar to the dust which we are holding, right? So in our hand, similarly, the Lord is holding the whole universe in His hand. Okay. So that's the reason the whole orbits or the planetary system, they are moving in sync, right? So if there is no direction, and then if there is no one looking after it, right? So there would have been so many clashes. But how these things revolve in all planetary system, right? Everything is done by the Lord Himself. So we did read these things in the eighth chapter, right? So He is the source of everything, and then He maintains it. Maya Dakshana, right? So He says and that. So according, so on His instructions only, all these things happen. Yeah, and even so the example of the body is also been given, right? So in the purpose, when the body has got consciousness, right? So you can actually swim and float. So if the dead body actually sinks in, right? So in that way, so even the universe, right? So there is some conscious force which is nothing but the Lord, which is actually holding it. Yeah? So this involves Krishna's consciousness. What is the benefit of such conception given in this verse? Yeah. So what is the benefit by knowing that He is the sun, He is the moon, yeah, He is the fire? So this invokes Krishna consciousness in the conditioned souls like us, right? So the unintelligent cannot see how things are taking place in the material world. In such a conception of life, the beginning of Krishna consciousness lies a great deal of advancement for the conditioned soul in the material world. So sun provides illumination. Okay. With it, everything kicks on. Yeah? And the moon gives the nourishment, and fire actually helps cooking and many factories. So to run the factories and to cook food also we need fire, and then later on, so it is being discussed, right? So I enter into each planet, and my energy, and by my energy they stay in orbit. Okay. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice to all vegetables. Yeah. So it is his energy who he is the one who is actually maintaining the planets. Yeah. So that is what we discussed, right, just now. So everything is floating. So all planets are floating in air by the Lord's energy. Yeah. So nothing can happen without him. And then in the next verse, so we did see that it will come. So the fire one, right? Yeah. So this is the one, right? I am the fire of digestion in every living body. So in Ayurveda, right? So this fire, right, is, and I am the air of life, outgoing and incoming, by which I digest the four kind of food stuff. Yeah. So there are four kinds of food stuff which gets digested. Yeah. So those are like one which is swallowed, chewed, licked, and sucked. Right. So those are the four categories. Okay. And yeah, he is the maintainer. Yeah, nourishes vegetables, which gives. Yeah, this is okay. This is all we covered. To digest, we need Krishna's energy as fire and life airs, outgoing and oncoming. Yeah. So yeah, this is the one. So these are the four kinds of food stuff which go here, and then the fire is nothing but the Lord. So the Lord is actually arranging foodstuffs like cereals, vegetables, and he's doing the digestion, right? So next he'll say that he is giving us the knowledge also to get out of this material entanglement. Yeah. So that is 15.15 verse. सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्विष्टो मतस्मृतिज्ञानम् अपोहनं च वेदेश्य च सर्वर अहम् एव वेद्यो वेदान्तकृत् वेदावित् एव च चाहं. Yeah. So here the Lord says that I am seated in everyone's heart. Sarvasya chaham hridhi sanvishto. Right. So here he's saying that he is actually um, in everyone's heart, right? So as Paramatma, right? And he's the one who gives the remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. Smriti is nothing but remembrance, yeah. Jnanam is knowledge, yeah. And by knowing the Vedas, right? Say you will be knowing that I am the knowable, yeah. and I am the compiler of Vedanta Sutra. So Vyasadeva is Vyasadeva is an incarnation of Lord, right? So the Vedanta Sutra is written by the Lord himself, and then he is the knower of all the Vedas. Yeah. So this is also very important shloka. Yeah. So with this shloka we'll end today. I'll not be able to cover all five because I will need half an hour. We'll carry on the others tomorrow, but we'll cover this shloka, right? So in the living entity, right? Say the Lord is present as Paramatma, right? And then He is the one who knows. We actually spoke in also, right? He is the watcher, right? Who actually knows our present, past, and future. And then He actually gives us in this lifetime, right? Depending upon the body which we take in, right? He gives the remembrance, yeah, and then forgetfulness about the past life. Yeah. So because if we actually say if at all, right, say in this lifetime, say if the Lord doesn't give us the forgetfulness, the required things, it depends upon again, so what we desired. So depending upon that, so for example, right, say um, in this lifetime, right, say maybe we got a body, say wherein say it is of a dog or a cat, right? And then in the previous birth, you are the king, right? If you remember that, right? So you can't live in this. I'm just giving an example. Yeah. So you cannot fulfill your work. So the Lord actually gives this is a crude example, though. Yeah. He says that so that intelligence which is required, that even say for the devotional service also, right? Say if we have left until in 1 2 3 4, right, so if you have left at the second place, then the Lord gives that intelligence that in this birth we start from 3. Yeah? All these things are managed by the Lord, and by knowing these things, right, so the Paramatma is actually there, and the purpose of this life is to get directions from the Vedas, yeah, and go back to the Godhead, right? And the essence of Vedas is to know Him, okay, to know the Lord. So at the end, you'll know that the purpose of the Vedas is to attain the Lord, right? And then He is the compiler, right? So the Vedas offer the knowledge of the Supreme Personality, okay? And Krishna and the Lord Krishna, as His incarnation, He is the compiler of Vedanta Sutra. Yeah? So see, the Lord is so merciful, right? So He's the supplier. Yeah, He's the uh, He takes care of the digestion of the footstep. He's the witness. Yeah, and then He's the giver of the knowledge. So He Himself gives the Vedas and the knowledge for us to go back to the Godhead. So for the conditioned soul, right, He's taking all the aspects, right? So the only thing is, so we'll have to actually take up the intelligence, yeah, and then take up this opportunity, and then move further, yeah, instead of getting entangled in this material world, right? So He has given everything to us. uh, so the same thing is being explained here, yeah, and there are 5 more slokas, so we'll try to wind up tomorrow, yeah. So those 5 slokas, because those are also important. We'll take some time tomorrow, and then we'll get started with 16th chapter tomorrow. So tomorrow, if possible, we'll see if we can cover 16th chapter. We may extend for 10 15 minutes more. Okay. Okay. So thank you for today's session. And say Guru Maharaj is there in Mangalore, and there are actually events happening. Yeah. So I'd request. each one of you to actually associate virtually, yeah, because we couldn't make it physical, right? So at least virtually you connect. And then today there was Diksha ceremony, so there were a lot of devotees who got their Diksha today. Yeah. So even tomorrow also there is, I think there is a program at 11, right, Nandita Mataji, if I'm not wrong, so wherein Guru Maharaj is going to
Yes, Prabhu,
address
he's going to share his vision for ISKCON Mangalore,
Mangaluru. Yeah.
the study center.
Yeah. So and even that Gita Bhavan, is that inauguration done, Mataji? You know? Or tomorrow it is?
Not today, Prabhu.
Tomorrow it is,
Perhaps
right?
tomorrow.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Yeah, we'll take one question and then wind up today. Yeah, Rajni Mataji, Hare Krishna. Good.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. It's not a question, Prabhu, but I just want to share a happy thing that when I had been for the inauguration of the South Bangalore ISKCON at
Okay, Mataji.
Kumar Swami Layout, I got the opportunity to see Guru Maharaj. So
Haribol.
I was like,
So
it
you
was a
saw him
real blessing for me.
physically. You saw him, yeah.
Yeah. So I actually wanted to tell you last week also, but then I was like, I just slipped out of my mind.
Yeah, it's very nice to have the association. Yeah, so I couldn't make it. So yeah, from yesterday onwards.
Thanks to you, actually, you referred me to Nandita Mataji and we spoke, we got connected, and she referred, no, thanks to her, that she referred me to Archana Mataji, from where I could do a little bit of Prasada Seva and even take the opportunity of seeing Guru Maharaj. So, thanks to you people, actually.
Okay. Okay, it was in last week, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Maharaj came. Yeah, got it. Pankaj Prabhu, quickly, we'll have to wind up today. Yeah, good. Good, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Okay, you're not unmuted. Yeah, Prabhu. You're
Hello.
unmuted, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I was not able to unmute myself before. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam. Prabhuji, just one question. What is mean by the like you are taking like I hear it lot many times like perverted reflection. What exactly reflection is a reflection? Like perverted reflection. Are there again kinds of reflection also?
No, no,
Because
no.
we know that this material world is perverted reflection. So what exactly we were talking like
So
reflection?
this is illusory, right? So anything, right? Perverted reflection is nothing but the upside down of the tree, right? So that is called the perverted reflection. So when the topmost thing, right? So in the river, we see, right, the um, what the branches and then the leaves are coming down, right? And the root is upwards. That is perverted reflection, Prabhu. So reflection is not as is; it is ulta. Okay, you understood, no? Hello, you're there, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji, I understood.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I
that's
am.
the one.
Yeah,
So
so I
it's
wasn't able to unmute. Okay.
yeah, that's okay. So
Thank you,
it's
Prabhuji.
not, it's nothing. It's just this, Prabhu. So reflection is nothing but this one, right? This is called perverted. Okay. Okay, just mark the attendance and we'll wind up today. Vancha kalpatarobhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavyo namo namah. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Dandavats.